Google already partners with HTC to make the original Pixels released about this time last year. So from that perspective, it kind of makes sense. If you're going to continue that partnership, and it looks like HTC is already building one of the upcoming Pixels, like you said, on October 4th, might as well keep that going. And it might not be that much more expensive for them to actually just take over HTC's manufacturing.
Yeah, Max, I think I read that HTC's got a value of something around $2 billion. So for Google, this isn't huge. But, why do they need to buy it outright? Why not just let the partnership remain as is?
Yeah, so we'd be partial to the idea that when they were back Google and now they're Alphabet, they didn't really buy Motorola first and foremost to get into the hardware business either. They sort of wanted the patents and the technology. Obviously didn't go that well for them because they sold it for about 75% below the purchase price, but they did keep those patents. I think in this case, really looking to they want to have a pace car and they want to control the hardware software synergy. I think Android has huge market share, but a lot of the folks out there using Android are also experimenting with their own skins and versions of Android in there, and those don't necessarily highlight Google products. I think you need to keep in mind that Google wants to highlight Google products. They can do that on their own phones, and pushing other people to do that under threat is exactly the kind of thing that regulators, particularly in Europe, have started to take notice of. So looks to me like it sort of capitalizes on a bunch of the smarter trends, and we should always do well to remember that first and foremost, Google does things to make money on advertising because it's an advertising company.
Yeah, Andrew, to that point, I wonder if there's any advantage. It always seems when it comes to Google and strategic moves, you have to ask, does it help them acquire more data? Do they have more touch points? Would owning the hardware or having that role in the process of the creation of the new hardware help them out in terms of data collection and knowing more about customers?
Well, it's a dual-pronged strategy. Part of it, I think the larger part is your point that by controlling the software directly from the start, by making and releasing your own phone that just says Google on the back, it means that they can control the whole thing. They can push out software updates whenever they want. They can determine exactly which apps are preloaded and services are hooked up. They have an additional stream with the Project Fi carrier that they run their own cell phone provider in the US as well. And this is the type of thing that they want to do to be completely vertically integrated. But we can't forget that there's also a second part of this, which is it just looks good for Google's brand and for Android as a brand to have a top-end device that people generally really like. I think in the last 12 months, they didn't sell a ton of Pixels, but they look great for Google as a brand.